On a cold, rainy night in Chicago, Maya, a black woman, was cleaning up to finish a long 14-hour shift. Suddenly, she saw a little girl in a wheelchair outside in the rain shivering. Without thinking twice, she ran out and brought the child into the diner. She warmed her up, cooked her a meal, and made her feel safe. What she didn't know was that across the street, a man was watching their every move. He was the girl's father and a billionaire, and Maya's act of kindness that night would lead her to a future she never imagined. Before we dive deeper into this story, tell me where you're watching from. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow I'll bring you another amazing story. The rain hammered down on Madison Street like it had a personal grudge against Chicago. Sharp, relentless, the kind of cold that cut straight through cheap jackets and thrift store shoes. Maya Torres wiped down the same stretch of counter for the third time, her chestnut brown hands moving on autopilot. 14 hours. She'd been on her feet for 14 straight hours, and her lower back screamed with every shift of weight. The clock above the register blinked 11:47 p.m., 13 minutes past closing. Come on," she muttered, squeezing the rag over the sink. Dirty water swirled down the drain. Her sneakers squelched soaked through from the earlier rush when the dishwasher had flooded. Again, Rosie's Diner was supposed to close at 11:30, but Maya had never been the type to kick people out right on the dot. Not when old Mr. Patterson still nursed his decaf in the corner booth, his trembling hands wrapped around the mug like it was the only warmth he'd get tonight. Not when the world outside was this brutal. She exhaled, rolled her shoulders. Almost done. Almost home. Almost movement outside caught her eye. Maya froze mid-wipe, squinting through the rain-streaked window, past the flickering neon sign that read Rosie's Diner in faded pink cursive just beyond the pool of weak streetlight. Something small huddled against the brick wall. No, not something. Someone. Maya's stomach dropped. A child, in a wheelchair, in this weather. Jesus Christ, she breathed. The rag hit the counter. Maya was already moving, yanking her coat off the hook by the kitchen door, not bothering to button it as she shoved through the diner's entrance. The cold slapped her face. Rain soaked through her hair in seconds. "Hey," she called out, jogging across the slick sidewalk. "Hey, sweetheart." The little girl flinched, her thin shoulders jerking up like she'd been struck. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old. Blonde hair plastered to her pale face, blue eyes wide and terrified, staring up at Maya like she wasn't sure if she was being rescued or attacked. Maya's heart cracked right down the middle. The wheelchair was old, battered metal frame, one wheel slightly bent, the vinyl seat torn and patched with duct tape. The girl wore a coat that probably cost more than Maya's rent, but it hung off her small frame 2 sizes too big, soaked through, and doing absolutely nothing against the cold. Maya crouched down, ignoring the puddles soaking into her knees. She kept her voice soft, gentle, the way you'd talk to a wounded animal. "What are you doing out here, baby? Where's your family?" The girl's lips trembled. Her small hands gripped a threadbare blanket that looked like it had been pulled from a donation bin. I'm waiting for my dad." Maya glanced up and down the street, empty. Nothing but the hiss of rain on asphalt and the distant wail of a siren. No cars idling. No concerned parent rushing over. Just this little girl alone, shivering so hard her teeth chattered. "Where is he?" Maya pressed, trying to keep the anger out of her voice, trying not to think about what kind of father leaves his kid in a wheelchair outside in a goddamn thunderstorm. The girl's eyes dropped to her lap. He said he'd be right back. He had to make a call. Maya bit down hard on the inside of her cheek. She'd heard that line before. Too many times. From too many kids whose parents never came back right away. She glanced at the wheelchair's wheels. Stuck. The right one had rolled into a pothole filled with muddy water, and the girl clearly didn't have the strength to pull herself free. "Okay," Maya said, standing up. Decision made. "You can't stay out here. You're gonna freeze to death, you hear me? Come inside with me. It's warm. I've got food. And we'll wait for your dad together, okay?" The girl hesitated, her blue eyes searching Maya's face for something safety maybe, permission to trust. "I promise," Maya added, placing a hand gently on the wheelchair's handle. "I'm not gonna hurt you. I just want to help." A beat. Then the smallest nod. Maya gripped the handles and pulled. The wheelchair lurched free from the pothole with a wet sucking sound. She pushed quickly toward the diner, her arms shaking not from the weight, but from the cold, from the exhaustion, from the sheer rage at whoever had left this baby out here like garbage. The warm air inside hit them like a wall. The girl gasped, her whole body sagging in relief. Maya wheeled her over to the booth closest to the radiator, the best spot in the house, the one she usually saved for herself during breaks. She grabbed a clean towel from behind the counter and draped it over the girl's shoulders, tucking it gently around her neck. "There," Maya murmured, crouching down again to meet those scared blue eyes. "Better." The girl nodded, but she still hadn't stopped shaking. Maya forced a smile, trying to make her voice light. "I'm Maya. What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lily." The word came out barely louder than a whisper. "Lily." Maya nodded like she was filing the name away somewhere important. "That's a beautiful name. You hungry, Lily?" Lily hesitated, then so quietly Maya almost missed it. "Yes." "Good." Maya straightened up her knees, popping in protest. "Because I make the best grilled cheese in the whole city. My grandma's recipe. You like grilled cheese?" For the first time, the smallest flicker of hope crossed Lily's face. I think so." "You think so?" Maya put a hand on her hip, pretending to be offended. "Girl, you're about to know so." She turned toward the kitchen, but paused, glancing back. "You're safe here, okay? Nobody's gonna hurt you. Not while I'm around." Lily looked up at her with those wide, too old eyes. Eyes that had seen things an 8-year-old shouldn't have to see. "Okay?" Lily whispered. Maya moved through the kitchen, like her body remembered the motions, even when her brain had checked out hours ago. Butter in the pan, bread on the griddle, cheese, the good stuff, sharp cheddar, not the plastic-wrapped garbage. She sliced it thick, layered it between the bread, and pressed down with the spatula until the butter sizzled and popped. Her hands shook. She didn't know why. Maybe the cold, maybe the exhaustion, maybe the way Lily had looked at her like Maya was the first person in a long time to ask if she was okay. The soup was already made, chicken noodles simmering in the big pot since the lunch rush. Maya ladled out a generous bowl, grabbed a handful of crackers, and carried everything back to the booth on a tray. Lily's eyes went huge. "This is for me?" she asked, staring at the plate like it was a 5-star meal. "All yours, baby." Maya set it down gently, then slid a napkin across the table. "Careful, the soup's hot. Blow on it first, okay?" Lily nodded, but she didn't wait. She grabbed the spoon with both hands and scooped up a mouthful, her eyes fluttering closed like she'd just tasted heaven. Maya's throat tightened. When was the last time this kid ate? She pulled up a chair and sat down across from Lily, watching her devour the sandwich. Cheese stretched in long, gooey strings. Lily giggled, actually giggled, as she tried to catch them with her fingers. "Messy eater, huh?" Maya teased, reaching over to dab soup off Lily's chin with a napkin. Lily smiled. A real smile. Small but real. "This is the best thing I've ever had," she said, her voice thick with wonder. Maya's chest ached. Good food makes everything better. They sat in silence for a moment, just the sound of Lily chewing and the rain drumming against the windows. Mr. Patterson had finally left, shuffling out into the night with a mumbled, "Thank you." The diner was empty now. Just the two of them. Maya leaned forward, folding her hands on the table. Gentle, casual, like she wasn't fishing for information that might break her heart. "So, your dad," she started. "He's coming back soon." Lily's spoon paused halfway to her mouth. Her shoulders tensed. "He said he would," she murmured, staring down at the soup. He's really busy. He works a lot." "Yeah," Maya kept her voice light. "What's he do?" "He runs a company. A big one." Lily's voice got smaller. "He's very important." Maya nodded slowly. "Important. Right. So important, he leaves his disabled daughter outside in a storm." "And your mom?" Maya asked softly. Lily's face crumpled, just for a second. Then she forced it smooth again like she'd practiced hiding that pain. "She died 3 years ago." "Oh, Jesus. I'm so sorry, baby," Maya whispered. She reached across the table, covering Lily's small hand with her own. "That's really, really hard." Lily nodded, blinking fast. "It's okay. Dad says I have to be strong." Maya's jaw tightened. Strong. This little girl shouldn't have to be strong. She should be allowed to be 8, to be scared, to cry when she missed her mama. "You know what?" Maya said, squeezing Lily's hand. "It's okay to not be strong all the time. It's okay to be sad, or scared, or mad. You're allowed to feel things, Lily." Lily looked up at her, and for the first time, real tears welled in her eyes. "I miss her," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I miss her so much." "Oh, sweetheart." Maya stood up, moved around the table, and crouched down beside the wheelchair. She wrapped her arms around Lily, pulling her close. I know you do." Lily collapsed into her small body, shaking with sobs she'd clearly been holding in for way too long. Maya held her rocking slightly, one hand rubbing slow circles on her back. "It's okay," Maya murmured. "Let it out. I got you." And Lily cried, deep gulping sobs that shook her whole frame. Maya just held her, blinking back her own tears, thinking about her own boys, grown now, off at college, and how she would have burned the world down if anyone had ever treated them like this. Finally, Lily's sobs quieted to hiccups. She pulled back, wiping her face with the napkin Maya handed her. "I'm sorry," she mumbled. "Don't you dare apologize," Maya said firmly. "You hear me? Don't ever apologize for feeling things." Lily nodded, sniffling. Maya stood smoothing down her apron. "You want some hot chocolate?" Lily's eyes lit up. "Really? Really? With extra marshmallows? Nobody ever." Lily trailed off, staring at Maya like she was trying to figure out if this was real. "Nobody ever asks me what I want." Maya's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. She crouched back down, cupping Lily's face gently in both hands. "Well, I'm asking, and I'm gonna keep asking, because you matter, Lily. You hear me? You matter." Lily's bottom lip trembled. "You're the first person who said that in a long time." Maya pulled her into another hug, squeezing tight. "Then I'll keep saying it," she whispered fiercely, "as many times as you need to hear it." Across the street, a phone call was ending. "Mr. Blackwood, are you still there?" The voice on the phone pulled Marcus back. He blinked, refocusing on the spreadsheet glowing on his laptop screen. Numbers, projections, the Tokyo deal. "Yes," Marcus said, his voice clipped. "Send the revised terms to my legal team. I want this finalized by Friday." "Understood, sir. We'll have—" Marcus hung up. He rubbed his eyes, exhaustion pressing down on his shoulders like a weight. 2 hours. The call had stretched for 2 goddamn hours. He glanced at his watch, 11:47 p.m. Then he looked out the window of his Rolls-Royce, and his blood went cold. Rain. It was pouring. "Lily," he breathed. His hand shot to the door handle, yanking it open. Cold rain slammed into him as he stumbled out onto the street, his $3,000 suit soaking through instantly. "Lily!" He spun around, scanning the sidewalk. The corner where he'd told her to wait just a few minutes, "Baby Dad has an important call," was empty. Just wet pavement and the glow of a flickering streetlight. No wheelchair. No little girl. Panic hit him like a freight train. "Lily!" Marcus ran down the sidewalk, his dress shoes slipping on the slick concrete, his heart hammered against his ribs. His breath came in short, sharp gasps. "She's gone. Someone took her. Oh God, someone took her." He ran to the corner, looking left, then right. Nothing. Just empty streets and the hiss of rain. "No, no, no." Marcus spun back toward the car, nearly tripping over his own feet. He threw himself into the driver's seat, water dripping from his hair, his hands shaking as he pulled up the security camera feed on the car's display. Come on, come on." The footage loaded. Timestamp 9:34 p.m. There. Lily, sitting in her wheelchair exactly where he'd left her. Rain pouring down, her head bowed, her small body shaking. Marcus's throat tightened. 9:41 p.m., still sitting, still waiting. 9:58 p.m., still there, soaked through. 10:15 p.m., Lily's head lifted slightly like she was looking for him. Marcus felt sick. "Jesus Christ," he whispered. "What have I done?" Then at 10:23 p.m., the camera caught movement. A woman running through the rain. She crouched beside Lily, talking to her. Then she stood and started pushing the wheelchair, away from the car, away from him. Marcus's panic shifted instantly into something sharper, colder. "No!" He zoomed in on the woman's face, but the rain and the camera angle made it difficult to see clearly. Dark hair, brown skin, work uniform. She was taking his daughter. Marcus threw the car into gear and peeled out onto the street, tires screeching. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel, his jaw clenched so tight it ached. If she hurt her, if she so much as touched her, he turned the corner, eyes scanning frantically. There, a diner. Old, run down. The neon sign read Rosie's Diner in flickering red letters, and through the rain-streaked window he saw them. Lily, sitting in a booth, and the woman sitting across from her. Marcus slammed on the brakes. The car skidded to a stop across the street. He sat there, engine idling, rain drumming on the roof. And he stared. Lily is smiling. Not a polite smile. Not a forced smile. A real, genuine, joy-filled smile that crinkled her eyes and made her shoulders relax. Marcus's breath caught in his chest. He couldn't move, couldn't look away, because he couldn't remember the last time he'd seen that smile. Not since Emily died. Not since the world had turned gray and silent and unbearable. 3 years. 3 years, and he'd thought Lily had forgotten how to smile like that. But she hadn't. She just hadn't had a reason to. And now, watching this stranger, this waitress he didn't know, make his daughter laugh, Marcus felt something crack open inside him. When was the last time I looked at her like that? He gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles aching. When was the last time I sat with her, talked to her, asked her if she was hungry? He couldn't remember, because he'd been too busy, too focused, too buried in work and deals and distractions that kept him from feeling anything at all. Through the window, the woman reached across the table and touched Lily's hand, gently, like it was the most natural thing in the world. And Lily didn't pull away. She leaned in. Marcus felt his eyes burn, his vision blurred, and he realized with a jolt of horror that he was crying. He wiped his face roughly with the back of his hand, but the tears kept coming. "God," he whispered, "I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." He sat there in the dark, watching his daughter eat, watching her laugh, watching her be cared for by a woman who owed her nothing. And Marcus understood in that moment exactly how far he'd fallen. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and dialed. Vanessa picked up on the first ring. "Sir," Marcus's voice was rough, raw. "I need you to do something for me." "Of course. What do you need?" He stared at the diner, at the woman wiping soup from Lily's chin. "There's a woman," Marcus said slowly, "at Rosie's Diner on Madison. She's with Lily right now." Vanessa's tone sharpened. "Is Lily okay?" "She's fine. His voice cracked. "She's better than fine." A pause. "Sir, I don't understand." Marcus exhaled long and slow. "I need you to find out everything about her. Name, address, employment history, family, financial situation, everything. You want a background check? I want a full profile, and I want it on my desk by morning." "Yes, sir." Vanessa hesitated. "May I ask why?" Marcus watched the woman stand up and bring Lily a glass of water. The way she smiled, the way Lily smiled back. "Because I owe her," Marcus said quietly, "and I always pay my debts." He hung up before Vanessa could respond. Then he just sat there, in the rain, in the dark, watching. Inside the diner, Maya wiped down the counter, glancing over at Lily every few seconds. The girl was finally warm, finally fed, finally safe. But something still gnawed at Maya. Where the hell was this kid's father? She looked out the window at the rain-soaked street, empty. No cars slowing down, no one coming to claim their daughter. Maya bit her lip. "If he doesn't show up in the next 20 minutes, I'm calling someone." She didn't know who. Maybe the police, maybe child services. But she wasn't letting this little girl disappear into the night without making sure she was okay. Behind her, Lily spoke up. "Maya." Maya turned smiling. "Yeah, sweetheart. Can I ask you something?" "Of course." Lily looked down at her hands, fingers twisting the edge of the napkin. Do you think my dad loves me?" Maya's heart shattered. She walked over and sat down beside Lily, pulling the girl close. "Oh, baby, of course he does." "Then why doesn't he?" Lily's voice wavered. "Why doesn't he look at me?" Maya closed her eyes, holding this broken little girl, and felt her own tears start to fall. "I don't know, honey," she whispered, "but that's not about you. That's about him. And whatever he's dealing with, it's not your fault. You hear me? None of this is your fault." Lily nodded against her shoulder, and outside in the rain, Marcus Blackwood pressed his forehead against the steering wheel and wept, because his daughter had just asked a stranger the one question she should have been able to ask him, and he hadn't been there to answer it, but he would be, starting now. He wiped his face, straightened his tie, and made himself a promise. He was going to fix this, all of it, and it started with the woman in that diner. The woman who had done in 1 hour what he hadn't been able to do in 3 years. Make his daughter feel loved. Marcus pulled out his phone and typed a message to his assistant. "When you get the information, don't send it. Bring it to me personally. And clear my schedule for tomorrow. All of it." He hit send. Then he looked back at the diner one last time. Maya was standing now, bringing Lily a cookie wrapped in wax paper. Lily's face lit up like Christmas morning. Marcus's chest ached. "I don't deserve her," he thought, "but maybe I can learn." Marcus wiped his face one last time, straightened in his seat, and watched Vanessa pull up in her sedan. He'd told her what to say, told her to be careful, told her this woman, whoever she was, deserved respect. He put the car in gear and pulled away slowly, the diner shrinking in his rearview mirror. Inside, Maya was just bringing Lily a glass of water when the door chimed. Maya looked up and felt her entire body tense. A woman walked in, mid-30s, red hair, slicked back, wearing jeans and a designer hoodie. Her eyes landed on Lily immediately. "Hey there, sweetheart," the woman said, her voice too bright, too practiced. "Time to go home." Lily looked up from the last bite of her cookie, confusion flickering across her face. "Who are you?" The woman smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm Sarah. Your dad sent me to pick you up. He got held up with work." Maya moved around the counter, slowly positioning herself between the woman and Lily. Something about this didn't sit right. The expensive clothes trying to look casual. The way the woman's smile was just a fraction too tight. The fact that she'd appeared exactly at midnight, like she'd been waiting for the right moment. "Lily," Maya said quietly, keeping her eyes on the stranger. "Do you know this woman?" Lily stared at her for a long moment, uncertainty written all over her small face. She shook her head slowly. "No, I don't think so." "You don't think so, or you don't," Maya pressed gently. "I don't know her." Lily whispered, her voice small, scared. The woman, Sarah, or whatever her real name was, exhaled through her nose, and Maya caught the flash of irritation before it was smoothed away. "Look, I understand your concern, but Marcus asked me to bring Lily home. He's been delayed with an emergency and—" "Marcus," Maya's voice sharpened. "That's her father." "Yes." "And where exactly is he right now?" The woman's jaw tightened slightly. "Like I said, he's been delayed. A work emergency. I'm sure you understand how demanding his schedule can be." "No," Maya said flatly. "I don't understand. I don't understand how a man leaves his 8-year-old daughter sitting in the rain for 2 hours. I don't understand how he sends a complete stranger instead of coming himself. And I definitely don't understand why I should just hand her over to someone she's never even met." Something shifted in the woman's expression, surprise, maybe, or respect. She studied Maya for a moment, then seemed to come to a decision. "You're right to be cautious," she said, her voice losing some of its artificial warmth. "My real name is Vanessa Sterling. I'm Marcus Blackwood's executive assistant. I've worked for him for 6 years." "I don't care if you've worked for him for 60 years, Maya shot back. "That little girl doesn't know you, and I'm not letting her leave with a stranger." Vanessa's mouth tightened into a thin line. She pulled out her phone. "Fine, I'll call him." She dialed, and after 2 rings, a man's voice answered, deep, controlled. Even through the phone speaker, Maya could hear the weight of authority in it. "Vanessa, sir, I'm at the diner. The woman here won't release Lily without speaking to you first." There was a pause. "What's her name?" Vanessa looked at Maya, eyebrows raised in question. Maya lifted her chin. "Maya Torres." "Maya Torres," Vanessa repeated into the phone. There was a pause, and Maya thought she heard something like a sigh. Then, "Put her on." Vanessa held out the phone. Maya took it, her heart pounding harder than she wanted to admit. She turned slightly away from Lily, lowering her voice. "Hello? Miss Torres." The voice was smooth, each word precisely measured, like a man used to being obeyed. "My name is Marcus Blackwood. Lily is my daughter." "Then where the hell have you been?" The words came out before Maya could stop them, rough and angry and completely unprofessional. She heard Vanessa inhale sharply behind her, but she didn't care. There was a long pause on the other end. When Marcus spoke again, his voice was quieter, rougher. "Working, which isn't an excuse, it's just the truth." "Your daughter sat in the rain for 2 hours, Maya said, her voice trembling with barely controlled fury. She was cold. She was scared. She was so hungry she ate like she hadn't seen food in days. "Do you have any idea what you put her through?" "Yes." The word was clipped, final, like it hurt him to say it. "I know exactly what I did." Maya closed her eyes, trying to steady her breathing. She wanted to scream at this man, wanted to reach through the phone and shake him until he understood what he'd done to that little girl. But something in his voice stopped her. Not defensiveness, not arrogance, just exhaustion, and something that sounded dangerously close to shame. "I need to know she'll be safe," Maya said finally, her voice softer but no less firm. "She will be. Vanessa has been with my company for 6 years. She has full security clearance and background checks. She'll bring Lily home safely, and I'll be there waiting. And if I say no," another pause, longer this time, "then I'll come there myself, right now, and we can have this conversation face to face." Maya looked over her shoulder at Lily, who was watching her with wide, fearful eyes. The girl was exhausted. Her small body was practically drooping in the wheelchair. She needed to go home, to sleep, to be somewhere warm and safe and dry. But God, Maya didn't want to let her go. Not to a father who'd forgotten her. Not to a stranger who'd shown up at midnight with a fake name. But what choice did she have? If I find out you've hurt her, Maya said slowly, deliberately. If I find out she's not being taken care of, if I find out anything is wrong, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care who you are or what kind of lawyers you can afford. I will find you. Do you understand me? There was a beat of silence. Then quietly, I believe you, Miss Torres. And for what it's worth. Thank you. Maya didn't respond. She just handed the phone back to Vanessa, who pocketed it without a word. Ready, Lily. Vanessa's voice was different now, gentler, less performative, more human. Lily slid out of the booth, clutching her cookie like a lifeline. She turned to Maya, and her eyes immediately filled with tears. I don't want to go, she whispered. Maya's heart shattered. She dropped to her knees and pulled Lily into a fierce hug, holding her tight, feeling the girl's small body shake with silent sobs. I know, baby, I know. But your dad's waiting for you, okay? And I promise, if you ever need anything, if you ever need help, or just someone to talk to, you come find me. I'm here every day, every single day. You understand? Lily nodded against her shoulder, her fingers clutching the back of Maya's shirt. Maya pulled back and cupped Lily's face in her hands, wiping away tears with her thumbs. You are so brave, she said fiercely. So brave. Don't you ever forget that. Don't let anyone make you feel small or invisible or like you don't matter. Because you matter, Lily. You matter so much. Lily's lip trembled. You're the first person who's been nice to me in a really long time. Maya felt her own tears start to fall. Then the world's been doing it wrong, sweetheart, because you deserve all the kindness there is. She pressed a kiss to Lily's forehead, then reluctantly let her go. Vanessa moved to the wheelchair, but before she started pushing, she looked at Maya. Really looked at her, and in that look Maya saw something unexpected, respect, maybe even gratitude. You did good tonight, Vanessa said quietly. Not everyone would have stopped, not everyone would have cared. She's a child, Maya said simply. Of course I cared, Vanessa nodded slowly. Then she pushed Lily toward the door. The rain was still coming down in sheets, and Vanessa moved quickly, shielding Lily as best she could. Maya stood in the doorway, watching as they crossed the street to the black Rolls-Royce idling in the shadows. She watched Vanessa lift Lily gently into the back seat, buckling her in with surprising tenderness. Watched the car's taillights flare red in the darkness. Watched until they disappeared completely into the rain and the night. And then she was alone. Maya exhaled shakily and turned back to the empty diner. The booth where Lily had sat still had crumbs on the table. The glass still had a ring of condensation. Like proof that it had all been real, she needed to finish closing, count the register, lock up, go home to her tiny apartment, and try not to think about a little girl with sad eyes and a father who'd forgotten how to see her. But her hands were shaking too much to count money. Maya sat down at the counter, pressing her palms against her eyes, trying to breathe, trying not to cry, trying not to think about all the children in the world who were waiting in the rain for someone who never came. She didn't know how long she sat there. 5 minutes, 10, maybe more. And then she heard it, a soft, hesitant knock on the glass door. Maya's head snapped up. A man stood outside, tall, well over 6 feet, broad-shouldered, wearing a suit that looked like it cost more than her car, soaked through and clinging to his frame. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead, rain streaming down his face, and his eyes, gray, sharp, intelligent, were fixed on her with an intensity that made her breath catch. He raised one hand in a hesitant, almost apologetic wave. Maya's first instinct was to ignore him. Lock the door, turn off the lights, call someone. But something made her walk over instead. Maybe it was the look on his face. Maybe it was the way his hands were clenched at his sides, like he was holding himself together by sheer force of will. She unlocked the door, but didn't open it all the way. Just enough to talk. We're closed. I know. His voice was the same one from the phone. Marcus Blackwood. Up close, it was deeper, more raw. I needed to. He trailed off, looking down at his expensive shoes, now ruined by rain and mud. When he looked up again, his jaw was tight, his eyes red-rimmed. I wanted to thank you for what you did tonight. For Lily. Maya stared at him. Up close, she could see everything the phone call had hidden. The lines of exhaustion around his eyes, the way his hands trembled slightly at his sides, the look of a man who just realized he'd been standing on the edge of a cliff and hadn't even known it. "You don't need to thank me," Maya said, her voice flat. "I did what anyone decent would do." "No," Marcus shook his head firmly. "You did what I should have done, what I failed to do." The rain pounded down around them. Water dripped from his hair, ran down his face, but he didn't seem to notice or care. "She's a good kid," Maya said finally, something softening in her chest despite herself. "She deserves better than what she's getting." "I know." Marcus's voice cracked on the words. "God, I know she does." He reached into his jacket slowly, carefully, like he didn't want to spook her, and pulled out an envelope. Cream-colored. Expensive paper. Even Maya could tell that from here. He held it out to her. "What is that?" Maya asked, not taking it, not moving. "A thank you. And an apology. And," he hesitated, "and a job offer." Maya blinked, laughed. The sound came out harsh and disbelieving. "I'm sorry, what?" "I want to hire you," Marcus said, and his voice was steady now, like he'd made a decision and was committing to it fully. "At my company, Blackwood Technologies, Director of Community Relations. Starting salary is $180,000 a year. Full benefits, stock options, healthcare that actually covers things." Maya stared at him like he'd just spoken in another language. Then the anger hit. "You think you can just buy me?" Her voice rose sharp and cutting. "Write me a check and make yourself feel better about being a shit father." Marcus flinched like she'd physically struck him. "No, that's not, because that's what this is, right?" Maya's hands clenched into fists at her sides. "You feel guilty, so you throw money at the problem, at me, like I'm some charity case you can fix with your wallet and then forget about." "That's not what this is," Marcus said, and there was an edge to his voice now, something hard beneath the exhaustion. "Then what is it?" "It's me recognizing something I should have seen a long time ago." Marcus took a step closer to the door, and Maya saw it, then the desperation in his eyes, the need to make her understand. "You saw my daughter tonight. You actually saw her. Not as an inconvenience, not as a reminder of everything I've lost. You saw her as a person, a child who needed help, and you helped her without asking for anything in return. That's called being a decent human being," Maya shot back. "It's not some extraordinary talent that deserves 6 figures." "Maybe not," Marcus said quietly. "But do you know how many people walked past her tonight? How many people saw a little girl in a wheelchair sitting in the rain and just kept walking?" Maya's anger faltered. She didn't have an answer for that. "You asked if she was hungry." Marcus continued, his voice thick. "You brought her inside. You fed her. You held her when she cried. Do you know how long it's been since someone did that? Since someone treated her like she mattered? That's not my fault," Maya said, but her voice was softer now. "It's yours." "I know." Marcus's shoulders sagged. "Believe me, I know. My wife died 3 years ago. Cancer. It took her in 6 months, and I couldn't handle it. So I buried myself in work. I built an empire so I wouldn't have to feel anything. And Lily, God, Lily looks so much like her mother. Same smile, same eyes. And every time I looked at my daughter, all I could see was everything I'd lost." He stopped, his jaw working like he was trying to hold something back. "So I stopped looking. I stopped seeing her. I turned her into another obligation on my calendar, another problem to solve, another thing to manage." Maya felt something twist in her chest. "That doesn't make it okay." "No," Marcus agreed. "It doesn't. But tonight, standing in the rain, watching you hold my daughter through that window, I realized something. I've been so afraid of losing her the way I lost Emily that I never noticed I'd already lost her, just in a different way." The silence between them was heavy, weighted with things neither of them knew how to say. "I don't need your pity job," Maya said finally. "It's not pity." Marcus held out the envelope again. "It's me asking for help, because I don't know how to do what you did tonight. I don't know how to see people anymore, how to connect, how to care without it destroying me. But I need to learn, for Lily, and I think you could teach me." Maya looked at the envelope, at this man standing in the rain soaking wet, looking more lost than any billionaire had a right to look. "I don't know you," she said. "I don't know your company. I don't even know if this is real or if you're going to wake up tomorrow and pretend this conversation never happened. I won't. You don't know that." "You're right," Marcus admitted. "I don't. So I'm asking you to take a chance. Read the contract, think about it, and if you decide I'm full of shit, if you decide this is just some rich man's guilt talking, then throw it away. but if there's even a small chance that you might consider it." He set the envelope down on the wet doorstep between them like a bridge, like an offering. "My personal number is inside, along with a check for $50,000. Consider it a signing bonus, or an apology, or just compensation for tonight." Maya's eyes widened. "50,000? It's nothing," Marcus said. "To me, it's barely a rounding error, but to you, maybe it's rent. Maybe it's your kid's tuition. Maybe it's breathing room. I don't know. But I know that you gave my daughter something priceless tonight, and the least I can do is give you something that might actually help." He took a step back, rain streaming down his face. "Think about it, Miss Torres. That's all I'm asking." He turned to leave his shoulders hunched against the rain. Then he stopped and looked back. "Lily told me something before she fell asleep tonight." His voice was so quiet Maya almost didn't hear it over the rain. "She said you were the first person in a long time who made her feel like she wasn't invisible. So, thank you for seeing her, for caring." Then Marcus Blackwood walked away, disappearing into the rain and the darkness, leaving Maya standing in the doorway with an envelope at her feet and a choice she'd never expected to have to make. She stood there for a long time, rain misting through the open door, before she finally bent down and picked up the envelope. It was heavier than she expected. Inside, she found exactly what he'd promised: a check for $50,000 made out to Maya Torres in neat, precise handwriting, and beneath it, a contract, Director of Community Relations, Blackwood Technologies. The salary line made her dizzy: $180,000, more money than she'd made in the last 3 years combined. At the bottom of the contract, in that same neat handwriting, was a phone number, and beneath it, a single sentence: "This isn't charity. It's an investment in the only person who saw my daughter as a human being. Call me when you're ready. MB." Maya carried the envelope inside and locked the door behind her. She sat down at the counter, the papers spread out in front of her, and pressed her hands to her face. She thought about her one-bedroom walk-up with the heater that only worked half the time. Thought about her 2 sons in college, both working part-time jobs to cover what their scholarships didn't. Thought about the stack of overdue bills on her kitchen table, electric water credit cards she'd been juggling for months. Thought about 14-hour shifts and aching feet and customers who looked through her like she wasn't even there. And then she thought about Lily's smile, the way the little girl had laughed when Maya made that stupid face with the grilled cheese, the way she'd held on to Maya like she never wanted to let go. "Do you think my dad loves me?" Maya pulled out her phone and called Rosa, her best friend and the only person in the world who would understand this. Rosa picked up on the 3rd ring, her voice thick with sleep. "Maya, girl, it's 1 in the morning." "What?" "Rosa," Maya interrupted, her voice shaking. "I think I just got offered a job by a billionaire." There was a pause. Then, "I'm putting on pants. Put coffee on. I'll be there in 20. The line went dead. Maya set her phone down and looked at the contract again. At the number that would change everything. At the man's handwriting, slightly messy, like he'd written it quickly, like he'd needed to get it out before he'd changed his mind. She thought about her mother's voice years ago, warning her, "Never owe these people anything, Mia. They don't give without taking. They always want something." But she also thought about Lily, about the chance to make sure that little girl was okay, about the chance to maybe possibly help a broken man learn how to be a father again, about the chance to do work that actually mattered instead of just surviving day to day. Maya took a breath and picked up her phone. She saved Marcus Blackwood's number in her contacts. She didn't call. Not yet. Not tonight. But tomorrow. Tomorrow she would call. Because maybe, just maybe, this was the door she'd been waiting for her whole life. The door she'd worked for, fought for, survived for. And Maya Torres had never been afraid to walk through a door, even if she had no idea what was waiting on the other side. Maya stood at the base of the Blackwood Technologies building and tilted her head back. 52 floors of steel and glass reflecting the Chicago sky like a mirror, like a wall between worlds. She smoothed down her blazer, the only one she owned, bought 5 years ago from a department store clearance rack, and took a breath. Her phone buzzed. Rosa's text, "You got this, Hermana. Show them who Maya Torres is." Maya smiled tightly and pushed through the revolving doors. The lobby hit her immediately. Marble floors so polished she could see her reflection, a reception desk that looked like it cost more than her car, and people, dozens of them, moving with the kind of confidence that came from never having to worry about rent. Every single one of them turned to look at her. Maya felt their eyes assess her in half a second. The too cheap blazer, the department store heels, the brown skin that marked her as different in a sea of white faces and tailored suits. She lifted her chin and walked to the reception desk. "Maya Torres, I have an appointment with Mr. Blackwood." The receptionist's smile was professional, but cold. "Of course. 50th floor. Elevators are to your right." Maya rode up alone, watching the numbers climb. Her reflection stared back at her from the mirrored walls, a woman who looked like she was trying too hard to belong somewhere she didn't. The doors opened. The 50th floor was all glass walls and sleek desks and the quiet hum of money being made. A woman approached, immediately blonde, early 40s, wearing a suit that probably cost 3 months of Maya's old salary. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Miss Torres, I'm Diane Foster, Director of Public Relations. Welcome to Blackwood Technologies." She didn't offer her hand. Maya noticed. "Thanks," Maya said evenly. "Mr. Blackwood is in a meeting, but asked me to give you a tour and introduce you to the team." Diane's tone suggested this was the last thing she wanted to be doing. "This way." They walked through an open office space, heads turned. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Maya heard the whispers not loud enough to confront, but loud enough to hear. "That's her. Affirmative action hire. I heard she's sleeping with Marcus." Maya's jaw tightened, but she kept walking. Diane led her to a conference room where 7 people sat around a massive table. All white, all Ivy League. Maya would bet money on it. "Everyone, this is Maya Torres, our new Director of Community Relations." Diane's introduction was flat perfunctory. "Maya, this is the executive team." A man at the head of the table stood mid-40s, sandy hair, expensive suit, and a smile that made Maya's skin crawl. "Brad Mitchell, VP of Marketing." He extended his hand, and when Maya shook it, his grip lingered just a second too long. "Welcome aboard." Maya, was it? That's a lovely name. The condescension dripped from every word. "Miss Torres is fine," Maya said, pulling her hand back. The others introduced themselves, names and titles that blurred together. None of them looked happy to meet her. Maya took the empty seat at the far end of the table, as far from Brad as possible. "So," Brad said, leaning back in his chair with the ease of someone who'd never been challenged in his life. "Why don't you tell us a little about yourself, Maya? What makes you qualified for this position?" There it was, the test. Maya had known it was coming. "I've spent 15 years in customer service and hospitality," she said calmly. "I understand people, how to read them, how to connect with them, how to make them feel seen." Customer service. Brad's smile widened. "So, waitressing, among other things?" "Fascinating." Brad exchanged a glance with Diane. "And you think that translates to corporate community relations?" "How exactly?" Maya held his gaze. "Because community relations isn't about spreadsheets or marketing campaigns. It's about people. Real people, the ones your company affects with every decision you make. And I know those people because I am those people." The room went silent. Brad's smile tightened. "Well, that's certainly a unique perspective." "It's the perspective you need," Maya said. "Unless you're planning to keep making decisions in a vacuum and wondering why communities push back." Diane cleared her throat. "Perhaps we should discuss the quarterly initiatives." "Actually," Brad interrupted, "I'd love to hear Maya's thoughts on our current community programs, since she has such valuable insight." It wasn't a question. It was a trap. Maya didn't have access to any files yet, hadn't been briefed, had literally walked in the door 15 minutes ago. But Brad knew that. He wanted to watch her stumble. Maya leaned forward. "I don't know your current programs yet, but I know this. If you're sitting in this room making decisions about communities you've never been to, about people you've never met, then whatever you're doing isn't working." "That's quite an assumption," Brad said coolly. "It's an observation. Community relations isn't about press releases and charity galas. It's about showing up, listening, actually caring about the people affected by your business decisions." "We do care," Diane said, her voice sharp. "We donate millions every year." "Donating money isn't the same as caring," Maya cut in. "It's the easiest thing in the world to write a check. The hard part is actually engaging with people, treating them like partners, not PR opportunities." The door opened. Every head turned. Marcus Blackwood walked in, and the energy in the room shifted immediately. He wore a charcoal suit that fit like it was made for him, because it probably was. His gray eyes swept the room, landing on Maya for just a moment. Something flickered in his expression. Relief, maybe. Sorry I'm late, Marcus said. Please continue. Brad straightened in his chair. We were just discussing Maya's approach to community relations. And Marcus's voice was neutral, but Maya caught the edge underneath. It's interesting, Brad said carefully. Unconventional. Marcus pulled out the chair next to Maya and sat down. The gesture wasn't lost on anyone in the room. Unconventional is exactly what I hired her for, Marcus said. This company needs fresh perspectives. We've been operating in an echo chamber for too long. He turned to Maya. What were you saying? Maya felt everyone's eyes on her. This was the moment she either proved she belonged here or confirmed every doubt in the room. I was saying that if we want to do real community relations, we need to stop treating communities as obstacles to manage and start treating them as partners. That means actual engagement, town halls, listening sessions, bringing community voices into our decision-making process before we make decisions that affect them. That sounds time-consuming, Diane said. It is, Maya agreed, but it's also the difference between a company that extracts value from communities and one that creates value with them. Brad leaned back, his smile gone. With all due respect, Miss Torres, this is a technology company. We're in the business of innovation, not social work. Technology doesn't exist in a vacuum, Maya shot back. Every product you create, every factory you build, every worker you hire, it affects real people in real communities. And if you don't account for that, if you don't build those relationships, then you're just setting yourself up for backlash down the line. Marcus was watching her intently now. Go on. Take your manufacturing plants. I'm guessing they're in low-income communities because land is cheaper and regulations are looser. Those communities bear the environmental impact, the traffic, the strain on infrastructure. What are you giving back? And I don't mean token donations. I mean real investment, job training programs, environmental cleanup, healthcare partnerships. The room was dead silent. Brad's jaw was tight. Diane looked like she'd swallowed something sour. But Marcus was almost smiling. That's exactly what I want to hear, he said quietly. He stood up, and everyone else immediately stood too. Brad, Diane, I want you to work with Maya on developing a comprehensive community engagement strategy. She'll have full autonomy to design it, and you'll provide whatever resources she needs. Brad's mouth opened, then closed. Of course, sir. Marcus looked at Maya. My office. 15 minutes. Then he walked out, and the room exhaled collectively. Maya stood gathering the notebook she hadn't even had a chance to open. As she headed for the door, Brad stepped into her path. A word of advice. He said, his voice low and pleasant, but his eyes were cold. This isn't a diner. You can't just charm your way through corporate politics. Maya met his gaze steadily. And you can't condescend your way out of irrelevance. The world's changing, Brad. Try to keep up. She walked past him, feeling his glare burn into her back. In the elevator alone again, Maya let herself shake. Her hands trembled as she pressed them against her thighs. She'd just made enemies on her first day. Powerful enemies. But she'd also told the truth, and Marcus had backed her. For now, at least, that was enough. The elevator doors opened on the 52nd floor, the executive level. Vanessa was waiting. He's ready for you, she said, and there was something almost like warmth in her voice. Nice work down there, by the way. Brad's been running this place like his personal kingdom for too long. Maya followed her to Marcus's office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. A desk that looked more like art than furniture, and Marcus standing with his back to the door, staring out at Chicago. Close the door, he said without turning around. Maya did. Marcus turned, and she saw the exhaustion in his face, the weight he carried. You handled that well, he said. I made enemies. You made a statement. There's a difference. He moved to his desk and pulled out a folder. Brad Mitchell has been with this company for 8 years. He's effective, but he's also a bully. He's going to test you, push back, try to undermine you. I can handle Brad, Maya said. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. I believe you, but I need you to know this isn't going to be easy. You're walking into a system designed to keep people like you out. They're going to question everything you do. They're going to wait for you to fail. I know. And you're still here. It wasn't a question. Maya thought about Lily, about the little girl who'd looked at her like she was the only person in the world who cared. I'm still here, she said. Marcus nodded slowly, then almost to himself. Thank you for not giving up before you even started. Don't thank me yet, Maya said. Wait until you see what I'm about to do to your quarterly budget. For the first time since she'd met him, Marcus Blackwood smiled, a real smile. And Maya realized that maybe, just maybe, she'd made the right choice after all. 6 months changed everything. Maya's community programs launched in 3 cities, job training for single mothers scholarship funds, for kids with disabilities environmental cleanup projects that actually hired local workers. The press loved her. Chicago Tribune ran a profile, The Waitress Who's Revolutionizing Corporate Responsibility. Forbes followed with Maya Torres, the voice companies need to hear. Brad hated every word. Maya felt it in every meeting, his cold stares, his subtle undermining, the way he'd talk over her or dismiss her ideas until Marcus shut him down. But she kept pushing, kept fighting. Until the Monday morning, everything fell apart. Maya was at her desk reviewing proposals for the next quarter when her phone rang. Internal number, HR. Miss Torres, this is Jessica Chen from Legal. We need you to come to the 50th floor immediately. Something in the woman's voice made Maya's stomach drop. What's this about? We'll discuss it when you arrive. Please come now. The line went dead. Maya stood slowly, her heart already racing. Around her, the open office had gone quiet. People were staring, not even pretending to work. They knew something. She could see it in their faces. Maya walked to the elevator on legs that felt disconnected from her body. When the doors opened on 50, Vanessa was waiting. Her face was pale. Maya, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Know what? Vanessa just shook her head and led her to a conference room. Inside sat Jessica Chen, head of Legal, a sharp-eyed woman in her mid-40s who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. Brad was there too, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed, expression carefully neutral. And 2 people Maya didn't recognize. Security, maybe. Miss Torres, please sit. Jessica gestured to a chair. Maya sat. Her hands were shaking, so she pressed them flat against her thighs. What's going on? Jessica slid a folder across the table. We've discovered a serious security breach. Confidential financial documents were leaked to the press over the weekend. Documents relating to our bidding process for the Morrison International contract. Maya's blood went cold. Morrison International, the $200 million deal Marcus had been negotiating for months. Okay, Maya said carefully. What does that have to do with me? Jessica opened the folder. Inside were printed emails, screenshots, server logs. The leak originated from your workstation, your login credentials, your IP address. Maya stared at the papers, at her name, her employee ID number, at timestamps showing someone accessing classified files from her computer at 2:47 a.m. last Sunday. That's impossible, Maya breathed. I wasn't even here Sunday. I was home with my son. He came in from school for the weekend. You can ask him. You can check my building's security cameras. We have the server logs, Jessica said, not unkindly, but firmly. Your credentials accessed the executive drive multiple times between 2:00 and 3:30 a.m. The files were downloaded, and 30 minutes later, they were sent to 3 journalists. Then someone used my login. Maya's voice rose despite herself. Someone stole my password. Your password was changed 3 days ago, Brad interjected quietly. Only you would have known the new one. Maya spun to face him. Something in his expression was that satisfaction, no. He looked almost sad, like he'd expected better from her. I didn't do this, Maya said, looking at each of them. I swear to God, I didn't do this. Miss Torres, we want to believe you, Jessica said, but the evidence is substantial, and given the severity of the breach, the board has voted to suspend you immediately pending a full investigation. The words hit like a physical blow. Suspend me. Effective immediately. You'll need to surrender your badge and building access. Security will escort you to collect your personal belongings. Maya couldn't breathe. The room was tilting. No, you can't. I need to talk to Marcus. Where is he? Mr. Blackwood has been informed, Jessica said. He's in New York for the Morrison meeting. He'll be briefed when he returns. Then call him. Right now. Let me talk to him. I'm sorry, Miss Torres. The decision has been made. The 2 security officers stepped forward, not threatening, but present, final. Maya stood on shaking legs. This is bullshit. This is a setup, and you know it. Maya. Brad's voice was soft, almost gentle. Don't make this harder than it has to be. She looked at him, really looked, and saw it, then the faintest flicker behind his carefully constructed sympathy. He knew. He knew because he'd done it. It was you, Maya whispered. Brad's expression didn't change. I don't know what you mean. You did this. You set me up. Miss Torres, Jessica said sharply. Making unfounded accusations will only make your situation worse. Maya's hands clenched into fists. She wanted to scream, wanted to flip the table, wanted to make them listen. But she'd seen this before, seen how quickly a black woman's anger became aggressive or threatening, how defending yourself became attacking others. She was already guilty in their eyes. Anything she did now would only confirm it. So she straightened her spine, lifted her chin, and said nothing. The security officers escorted her back to her desk. Every employee on the floor watched as she gathered her things, the photo of her sons, the coffee mug. Rosa had given her the folder of community proposals she'd been so proud of. She didn't cry, wouldn't give them the satisfaction, but her hands shook so badly she dropped her phone twice. The walk through the lobby felt like it lasted hours. 200 employees watching her being walked out by security. The receptionist who'd been cold on day one now looked vindicated. I knew she didn't belong here. Outside, the Chicago air hit her like a slap. Cold, sharp, real. Maya made it 3 blocks before her legs gave out. She sat down on a bench in a small park surrounded by lunch-hour crowds who didn't know or care that her world had just imploded. Her phone buzzed. Text from Rosa, I just heard. Coming to get you. Where are you? Maya couldn't even type a response. Her hands were shaking too hard. Another text, this one from a number she didn't recognize. I'm sorry. I tried to stop them. Vanessa. Maya closed her eyes, pressed her palms against them, tried to breathe through the tightness in her chest. She'd known it was too good to be true. Known that someone like her, a waitress from the West Side with no degree and no connections, didn't just walk into a 6-figure job and succeed. The system didn't work that way. The system protected itself. And people like Brad Mitchell were the antibodies that attacked anything different. Her phone rang. Marcus. Maya stared at the screen, her thumb hovering over the answer button. Then she let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, it rang again. She answered. Miss Torres. His voice was tight, controlled. But underneath, she heard something that might have been anger. Or might have been doubt. Did you do it? Maya's throat closed. No. The evidence is bullshit, Maya cut in. Someone set me up. Someone who knew exactly how this would look. Someone who's been waiting 6 months for me to fail. Silence on the other end. Then do you know who? Yes. Can you prove it? Maya closed her eyes. No, not yet. More silence. Then Marcus said something that made her heart stop. The board wants you fired. Prosecuted. They're talking about pressing charges for corporate espionage. Jesus Christ. I bought you time, Marcus said. 48 hours. That's all I could get. If you can find proof, real proof, then I can fight for you. But if you can't... He didn't finish. Didn't need to. Marcus. Maya's voice cracked. I didn't do this. I swear on everything I have, I didn't do this. I believe you. The words were quiet but certain. Then help me prove it. I am. Vanessa is already digging into the server logs. But Maya, if this goes wrong, if we can't find evidence, they won't just fire you. They'll destroy you. Make an example. Do you understand? Maya thought about her sons, about the apartment she just signed a lease on, the nice one, the safe one, the one she could finally afford, about the future she'd started to believe in. I understand, she said. 48 hours, Marcus repeated. Don't waste them. He hung up. Maya sat on the bench phone in her lap and felt the first tear slide down her cheek, then another. Then she couldn't stop. People walked past, giving her a wide berth, uncomfortable with public emotion. No one stopped. No one asked if she was okay. Just like always, Maya Torres was invisible. Except this time she wasn't just invisible. She was guilty, and she had 2 days to prove she wasn't. Rosa found her 20 minutes later, mascara streaked down her face, shaking in the cold without even realizing it. Her best friend sat down beside her, put an arm around her shoulders, and said the only thing that mattered. Okay, so we fight. Tell me where we start. Maya wiped her face with the back of her hand, took a shaky breath, and started planning. Because she'd been underestimated her whole life, been dismissed, been counted out. But she'd never not once given up. And she sure as hell wasn't starting now. It was 2 a.m. when Maya heard the knock. 3 sharp raps that made her jolt upright from the kitchen table, where she'd been staring at printed server logs for the past 4 hours. Rosa looked up from her laptop, eyes red-rimmed. You expecting someone? Maya shook her head and moved to the door, peering through the peephole. Marcus Blackwood stood in her hallway, tie loosened, looking like he hadn't slept in days. She opened the door. What are you doing here? May I come in? His voice was rough, exhausted. Maya stepped aside. Marcus walked into her small apartment looking completely out of place among the secondhand furniture and peeling wallpaper. Rosa stood crossing her arms defensively. Maya, who? Rosa, this is Marcus Blackwood, my boss. Marcus, my best friend Rosa. Marcus nodded at Rosa, then turned to Maya. I know who did this. Maya's heart stopped. What? Brad Mitchell. Marcus pulled out his phone, showing her a screen full of code and timestamps. Vanessa spent the last 16 hours tearing apart the security logs. The breach came from your workstation, yes, but someone cloned your access badge 3 days before the leak. The physical security cameras caught Brad entering your office at 11 p.m. that Thursday. He was there for 18 minutes. Maya felt her knees go weak. Rosa grabbed her arm, steadying her. That son of a bitch, Rosa breathed. But that's not enough. Marcus continued, his jaw tight. Brad's smart. He used a VPN to mask his home IP address and make it look like the files were accessed from your computer. The badge clone isn't definitive proof. He could claim he was dropping off documents looking for something, any number of legitimate reasons. So we have nothing, Maya said flatly. I didn't say that. Marcus pocketed his phone. We need him to confess, on record. How? You call him. Tell him you know what he did. Tell him you're willing to make a deal, keep quiet in exchange for a severance package and a neutral reference. Maya stared at him. You want me to blackmail him? I want you to make him think you're beaten. Marcus corrected. Make him think you're willing to walk away quietly if he pays you off. Men like Brad can't resist gloating when they think they've won. And you think he'll just admit it over the phone. Not over the phone. A new voice came from the doorway. Vanessa stepped inside, holding a small leather case. In person, with this. She opened the case. Inside was a tiny recording device no bigger than a button. Audio recording laws in Illinois require two-party consent, Rosa said immediately. Anything recorded without his knowledge is inadmissible in court. We're not going to court, Marcus said quietly. We're going to the board, and trust me, they'll care more about protecting the company from a PR nightmare than they will about recording consent laws. Maya looked between them. This could backfire if he figures out what I'm doing. Then you walk away, Marcus said. But Maya, this is the only play we have. 48 hours, remember. We're already down to 36. Maya thought about Lily, about the little girl who'd looked at her with such trust, about the community programs that were finally making a difference, about everything she stood to lose if she didn't fight. Okay, she said. I'll do it. Vanessa handed her the device in a small adhesive patch. Wear this under your collar. It's voice activated and has a 6-hour battery. Get him talking about the leak, about Morrison, about why he did it. Anything that proves he was involved. When? Maya asked. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. There's a bar Brad goes to after work. McGinty's on Wells Street. Vanessa pulled out her phone, showing Maya a photo. He'll be alone. He always is on Tuesdays. You've been watching him, Rosa asked. Vanessa's smile was cold. I've been watching everyone since this started. Brad's predictable, arrogant, and he's been drinking more lately. Probably feeling guilty or celebrating. Hard to tell with him. Marcus moved toward the door, then stopped. Maya, if this goes wrong, if he suspects anything, you get out immediately. Don't push. Don't take risks. Brad's dangerous when he's cornered. I know, Maya said. Marcus held her gaze for a long moment. Then quietly, I'm sorry. For not seeing this coming. For not protecting you. You couldn't have known. I should have. Brad's been undermining people for years. I thought merit would speak for itself. That good work would be enough. He laughed bitterly. I was naive. You were human, Maya said. After they left, Rosa turned to Maya with wide eyes. Girl, your boss just broke into your apartment at 2 a.m. with a spy device and a plan to take down his VP. This is insane. I know. And you're really going to do this. Maya thought about Brad's face when security escorted her out. The satisfaction he'd tried to hide. The way he'd destroyed her because she dared to succeed. Yeah, she said. I really am. The next evening, Maya sat in a corner booth at McGinty's nursing a glass of wine she hadn't touched. The recording device felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds against her collarbone. Brad walked in at 6:14. He saw her immediately, and his step faltered. Then he recovered, schooling his features into concerned surprise, and walked over. Maya, I didn't expect to see you here. Can we talk? Her voice was small, defeated. Brad hesitated, then slid into the booth across from her. Of course. How are you holding up? How do you think? Maya laughed, but it came out broken. I'm about to be prosecuted for something I didn't do. I can't pay rent. My sons think I'm a criminal, so not great. Brad signaled the bartender for a whiskey. I'm sorry, truly. But the evidence? I know what the evidence says. Maya leaned forward. But we both know I didn't do it. Something flickered in Brad's eyes. Maya. I'm not here to fight, she said quickly. I'm here to make a deal. Brad's whiskey arrived. He took a long sip, watching her carefully. What kind of deal? I walk away quietly. No lawyers, no appeals, no press interviews. Maya's hands shook slightly around her wine glass. In exchange, you get the board to give me 6 months severance and a neutral reference. That's it. That's all I want. Brad leaned back, studying her. Why would I do that? Because you know I didn't leak those files. Maya held his gaze. And I think you know who did. The silence stretched. Brad took another drink. Then slowly he smiled. You're smarter than I gave you credit for. Maya's heart pounded. So you'll help me. Help you. Brad's smile widened. Maya, I don't need to help you. You're already finished. What? You think I'm afraid of you, of what you might say? Brad leaned forward, his voice dropping. I've been at this company for 8 years. I have relationships with every board member. I golf with half of them. My father went to Yale with Morrison himself. He took another sip. You're a waitress who got lucky. Who do you think they're going to believe? Maya felt the device recording every word. So you did set me up. I protected this company from a diversity hire who was bleeding money into useless social programs. Brad said, his voice hardening. You were costing us millions with your community investment bullshit. The board was too afraid of the optics to fire you outright, so I did what needed to be done. You framed me for corporate espionage. I exposed a security risk. Brad's eyes glittered. And you know what Morrison pulled their contract this morning. $200 million gone because someone leaked our bidding strategy. The board needed a scapegoat, and you were perfect, the outsider, the one who never really belonged anyway. It was almost too easy. Maya's hands clenched under the table. You destroyed my life for a business deal. I saved this company. Brad finished his drink and stood. And honestly, Maya, you should thank me. You were never going to make it here anyway. People like you don't belong in boardrooms. You belong in diners serving coffee to people who actually matter. He dropped 2 20s on the table. Drinks are on me. Consider it severance. Then he walked out. Maya sat frozen, the recording device still running, capturing the ambient noise of the bar. Her phone buzzed. Text from Vanessa. Got it. Every word. Get out of there now. Maya stood on shaking legs and walked out into the Chicago night. 3 blocks away, Marcus's car was waiting. She climbed into the back seat, where Vanessa was already downloading the audio file. We got him, Vanessa said, her voice tight with satisfaction. That arrogant bastard confessed to everything. Maya leaned her head back against the seat. What happens now? Marcus, sitting in the front passenger seat, turned to look at her. Now, we bury him. The emergency board meeting was called for 8 a.m. the next morning. Maya sat in Marcus's car outside Blackwood Technologies, watching employees stream into the building. Her stomach churned. You don't have to do this, Marcus said quietly from the driver's seat. I can present the evidence myself. No, Maya's voice was steady despite her shaking hands. I need to face them. I need to watch Brad's face when they hear what he said. Vanessa turned from the front passenger seat. The board's already heard a preview of the recording. Jessica Chen called me at midnight. She sounded shaken. Good, Maya said. They walked in together, Marcus, Vanessa, and Maya. The lobby went silent. Employees stared. Maya kept her head high, her shoulders back, even though every instinct screamed at her to run. The 52nd floor boardroom was oak and leather and power. 12 board members sat around a massive table. Brad was already there, positioned near the head, looking confident. When Maya walked in, his face went pale. What is she doing here? Brad demanded. She's suspended. Sit down, Brad. The voice came from Thomas Whitmore, the board chairman, 70 years old. Silver hair, the kind of man who'd built empires and buried enemies. Brad sat. Marcus gestured for Maya to take the empty seat directly across from Brad. Vanessa set up a laptop at the head of the table. Gentlemen, Miss Patterson. Marcus nodded to the one female board member. Thank you for convening on such short notice. 2 days ago, Maya Torres was suspended based on evidence suggesting she leaked confidential information to the press. That evidence appeared conclusive. Server logs, timestamps, her login credentials. He paused. It was also completely fabricated. Brad's lawyer, a sharp-eyed man in a gray suit, leaned forward. "Mr. Blackwood, these are serious allegations." "They're facts." Marcus nodded at Vanessa, who pressed play. Brad's voice filled the room, tinny through the laptop speakers, but unmistakable. "I protected this company from a diversity hire who was bleeding money into useless social programs. The board was too afraid of the optics to fire you outright, so I did what needed to be done. I exposed a security risk." The color drained from Brad's face. Several board members shifted uncomfortably. The recording continued. "Morrison pulled their contract this morning. $200 million gone because someone leaked our bidding strategy. The board needed a scapegoat and you were perfect." When it finished, the silence was absolute. Thomas Whitmore removed his glasses slowly. "Brad, would you like to explain?" "That recording was obtained illegally." Brad's lawyer jumped in. "Without Mr. Mitchell's consent, it's inadmissible." "In court, perhaps," Whitmore said coldly, "but this isn't a court. This is my boardroom, and I just heard one of my executives admit to corporate sabotage and framing an employee." He turned to Brad. "Did you or did you not leak those documents?" Brad's jaw worked. Sweat beaded on his forehead. "I was trying to protect the company." "That's not what I asked. The community programs were hemorrhaging money. She was pushing us toward social responsibility initiatives that alienated our core partners. Morrison specifically complained about our woke direction. I made a business decision. You committed fraud." Jessica Chen interjected sharply. "You accessed confidential files without authorization, framed a colleague for corporate espionage, and by your own admission, cost this company a $200 million contract." Morrison pulled out because they're racist assholes who didn't want to work with a company that actually gave a damn about people. Brad's composure cracked completely. "You all know it. You just didn't want to say it out loud because Philip Morrison golfs at your clubs and sits on your charity boards." "Enough." Whitmore's voice cut through the room like a blade. He looked at Marcus. "What do you recommend?" "Immediate termination," Marcus said. "Full criminal investigation, civil suit for damages, and a public statement making clear that Miss Torres was wrongfully accused and that Blackwood Technologies does not tolerate discrimination or retaliation in any form." Brad shot to his feet. "You can't do this. My father," "Your father," Whitmore said icily, "will be deeply disappointed when I call him this afternoon to explain why his son is being escorted out of this building by federal investigators." He turned to Jessica. "Contact the FBI, Corporate Fraud Division." Brad's lawyer grabbed his arm. "Don't say anything else." But Brad was beyond hearing. He pointed at Maya, his hand shaking. "This is bullshit. She's a goddamn waitress who got lucky because she fed Marcus's crippled kid one night. She doesn't belong here. She never did. And you all know it." The room erupted. Diane Foster, who'd been silent until now, stood abruptly. "For God's sake, Brad, shut up." She turned to face the board, her voice trembling. "I owe Miss Torres an apology. Several of us do. We stood by while Brad undermined her. We participated in making her feel unwelcome. She swallowed hard. "We didn't want to see what was right in front of us because it was easier to doubt her than to confront our own biases." Thomas looked at Maya for the first time since she'd entered. "Miss Torres, do you have anything you'd like to say?" Maya stood slowly. Every eye in the room turned to her. She looked at Brad, at his red face, his desperate anger, his complete inability to comprehend that he'd lost. Then she looked at the board members, at their expensive suits and uncomfortable expressions, at the system that had nearly destroyed her. "I want my job back," she said simply. "Not because I need your approval, not because I need to prove anything, but because the communities we serve need someone in this room who actually sees them as human beings, who understands that corporate responsibility isn't a PR strategy, it's a moral imperative." She paused. Brad was right about one thing. I am a waitress. I served coffee and sandwiches for 15 years. I know what it's like to be invisible, to be dismissed, to work yourself to exhaustion and still not be able to pay rent. Her voice strengthened. "That's exactly why you need me. Because every decision you make in this room affects thousands of people who will never sit at this table. People who don't golf at your clubs or go to your charity galas. People who just want to feed their kids and pay their bills and maybe believe that the companies taking their labor and their resources actually give a damn about them." The room was silent. "So yes, I want my job back. As Vice President of Social Impact, with a seat on this board and full authority to rebuild the programs Brad destroyed." She looked at Whitmore. "Otherwise, I walk. And I take this recording to every news outlet in Chicago." Whitmore's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Miss Patterson, call a vote." The vote was 11-1. Brad's lawyer voted no. Everyone else raised their hands. "Motion carries," Whitmore said. "Miss Torres, welcome back. Brad, you're fired. Security will escort you out." Brad lunged across the table at Maya. Marcus moved faster, stepping between them, his voice deadly quiet. "Touch her, and I'll make sure you never work again. Not anywhere." Security arrived. Brad was still shouting as they pulled him from the room about lawsuits, about his father, about how this wasn't over. The door closed, muffling his voice. Maya sat down heavily, her legs suddenly unable to hold her. Diane approached slowly. "I meant what I said." "I'm sorry." She placed a white rose on the table in front of Maya. "For whatever that's worth." Maya looked at the flower, then at Diane. "It's a start." After the board members filed out, Marcus sat down beside Maya. "Vice President," he said. "You didn't ask for that part. You didn't offer enough," Maya said, and despite everything, she smiled. Marcus laughed a real laugh, the first she'd heard from him. "Fair enough. When can you start?" "Tomorrow," Maya said. "But first, I need to call my sons. Tell them their mother isn't a criminal after all." She pulled out her phone with shaking hands. The text she sent was simple. "I won. Love you, Mom." The responses came immediately. Crying emojis, celebration gifts, words of pride that made her eyes burn. Vanessa appeared with a press release already drafted. Should go out in an hour. Blackwood Technologies exposes internal corruption, promotes whistleblower to executive team. She looked at Maya. "You did it." "We did it," Maya corrected. She stood her legs steadier now. "Now let's get back to work. We've got communities to serve." And for the first time in 3 days, Maya Torres walked through the Blackwood Technologies lobby with her head held high, not as a suspect, as a vice president, as someone who belonged. 2 years later, Maya stood in the back of Lincoln Elementary School's auditorium, smoothing down her dress for the 3rd time. Around her, parents jockeyed for position with cameras and phones, everyone wanting the perfect shot of their child's 5th grade graduation. "You're fidgeting," Rosa whispered beside her. "I know." Maya clasped her hands together. I haven't seen her in months. Marcus said she's been asking about me, but with everything, the foundation launched the 3 new community centers. "You've been busy saving the world," Rosa said. "Lily knows that." The lights dimmed. The children began filing onto the stage in caps and gowns that were slightly too big, their faces shining with pride and nervousness. And there, 3rd row from the front, Maya saw her, Lily. 10 years old now, her blonde hair longer pulled back in a neat braid. She'd grown, gotten stronger. The wheelchair she'd been in that rainy night was gone, replaced by forearm crutches decorated with stickers and glitter. Maya's breath caught. Marcus appeared beside her so quietly she jumped. "She's been working with physical therapists," he said softly, pride evident in his voice. 3 times a week. The crutches give her more independence. "Marcus." Maya turned to him. "I didn't know you were back here, yeah?" He smiled, and it reached his eyes now, something that happened more often these days. "Figured you'd want the anonymous spot? Old habits." They watched together as the principal began calling names. Each child walked or rolled or crutched across the stage to receive their diploma. The applause was thunderous, democratic, celebrating each kid equally. When they called Lily's name, the girl made her way to the center of the stage with careful, determined steps. The crutches made soft thumping sounds on the wood floor. Maya found herself holding her breath. Lily took her diploma with one hand, balancing carefully, then turned to face the audience. "Can I say something?" Her voice was small but clear through the microphone. The principal looked surprised but nodded. Lily cleared her throat. "I want to thank my dad for being here for everything now, for teaching me that it's okay to be scared and do things anyway." Marcus's hand found Maya's. Squeezed once. His eyes were wet. "And I want to thank Miss Maya Torres." Lily continued searching the crowd. "I don't know if she's here, but—" Maya stepped forward slightly, just enough to be seen. Lily's face lit up. "There you are. Miss Maya taught my dad how to be a dad again. She taught me that being different doesn't mean being less. And she taught both of us that kindness isn't weakness. It's the strongest thing there is." The applause started scattered at first, then building. Maya felt tears streaming down her face and didn't bother wiping them away. After the ceremony, parents flooded the hallway outside, taking photos and passing out flowers. Maya hung back, giving families their space until she felt a tug on her dress. Lily stood there, crutches tucked under her arms, diploma clutched in one hand, grinning so wide her face might split. "You came," Lily breathed. "Of course I came." Maya dropped to her knees, not caring about her dress on the scuffed floor. "I wouldn't miss this for anything, baby girl." Lily dropped a crutch and threw her free arm around Maya's neck. "I missed you so much." "I missed you too." Maya held her tight, feeling how much bigger she'd gotten, how much stronger. "Look at you, Lily. Look at how amazing you are." "I've been practicing," Lily said, proudly pulling back. "Dr. Sanders says I might be able to walk without crutches by next year. Just for short distances, but still." "That's incredible." "Dad bought me a bike," Lily continued, words tumbling out in excitement. "It's got 3 wheels and special handles, and we go riding in the park every Sunday. He takes the whole morning off work. No phone calls, no emails, just us." Maya looked up to find Marcus watching them, his expression soft, in a way she'd never seen that first night in the rain. "He's a different person," Maya said. "We both are," Lily said seriously. "He talks to me now. About Mom. About how sad he was. About how he didn't know how to be a dad and a boss at the same time." She leaned in conspiratorially. "Sometimes he still messes up. Like last week he tried to make pancakes and set off the fire alarm. But he tries now. That's what matters." Marcus joined them, placing a hand on Lily's shoulder. "Ready for the celebration lunch, graduate?" "Can Maya come?" Lily asked immediately. "Please." Marcus looked at Maya, and she saw the question in his eyes. Not obligation, not politeness, actual hope. "I'd love to," Maya said. They went to a small Italian restaurant Lily had chosen. Nothing fancy, just red checkered tablecloths and breadsticks, and a waiter who called everyone Hun. Lily sat between them, talking nonstop about her summer plans, her friends, a book she was reading about a girl who built robots. Maya watched Marcus listen, really listen, leaning forward, asking questions, laughing at Lily's jokes. At one point, Lily excused herself to the bathroom, navigating the narrow restaurant aisle with practiced ease. The moment she was out of earshot, Marcus turned to Maya. "I never thanked you properly." "You've thanked me about 1,000 times, Maya said. "Not for this." Marcus gestured vaguely, encompassing everything. "For giving me my daughter back. For teaching me how to see her, how to be present. You didn't just change her life that night, you saved mine." Maya's throat tightened. "Marcus, I was drowning," he continued quietly. "After Emily died, I was drowning, and I didn't even know it. I thought if I worked hard enough, made enough money, built a big enough empire, the pain would stop. But it just got worse. And Lily." He stopped, composing himself. "I was losing her too, pushing her away because looking at her hurt too much. If you hadn't been there that night." "But I was," Maya said firmly. "And you learned. You changed. That's not on me, Marcus. That's you doing the work. With your example." He smiled slightly. "Every time I want to hide in my office, I think about you. About how you saw a scared kid in the rain and didn't hesitate, didn't make excuses, just acted. That's the person I'm trying to be now." Lily returned, sliding back into her seat with a grin. "What'd I miss?" "Just your dad being sentimental," Maya said. "Gross," Lily said, but she reached over and squeezed Marcus's hand. After lunch, outside the restaurant, Lily hugged Maya one more time. "Will you come to my birthday party next month? It's going to be at the community center, the one you built. We're doing a wheelchair basketball tournament." "The Torres Center?" Maya asked, surprised. When the board had insisted on naming it after her, she'd protested, but they'd outvoted her. "Yeah, Dad's playing too. He's terrible at basketball, but it's funny watching him try." Lily giggled. "Please come." "Absolutely," Maya promised. As they walked to their cars, Marcus paused. "You know what Lily told me last week? She said when she grows up, she wants to do what you do. Help people, build communities, make things better." "She's going to change the world," Maya said. "She already has," Marcus replied. "At least she changed mine." He extended his hand formally. "Thank you, Miss Torres, for everything." Maya took his hand but pulled him into a brief hug instead. "We're family now, Marcus. You don't have to be so formal." When she pulled back, she saw his eyes were wet again. "Family," he repeated, testing the word. "Yeah, I like that." Driving home, Maya thought about that rainy night 2 years ago, about a scared little girl and a broken father and a waitress who'd just been trying to help. She thought about how one moment of kindness had spiraled outward, touching more lives than she could count. Her phone buzzed. Text from Lily. Thank you for coming. You're my hero. Followed by 3 heart emojis and a photo, Lily in her cap and gown, grinning at the camera, holding her diploma like a trophy. Maya saved the photo. Then she texted back, "You're mine too, sweetheart. So proud of you." And she meant it. Because Maya Torres knew something that people like Brad Mitchell would never understand. Real success wasn't measured in dollars or titles or corner offices. It was measured in moments like this. In little girls who learned to walk again. In fathers who learned to see their daughters. In communities that learned to thrive. That was the investment that mattered. That was the return that lasted. And Maya Torres was just getting started. 5 years after that rainy night, Maya stood on a stage in the West Side neighborhood where she'd grown up, looking out at a sea of 500 faces. Behind her, a building rose 4 stories high, brand new, gleaming with floor-to-ceiling windows and a massive mural of hands, clasped together, painted in every shade of brown and beige and black. The Carter Blackwood Foundation Community Center. Her name, his name, together. You ready? Marcus appeared at her elbow wearing jeans and a simple blue button-down instead of his usual suit. He'd learned to dress down for occasions like this, learned that communities didn't need billionaires in Armani. They needed partners who showed up. "I don't know," Maya admitted. "What if I cry during the speech?" "Then you cry," Marcus said simply. "These people know you. They trust you because you're real." The crowd quieted as Rosa, now the foundation's executive director, took the microphone. 5 years ago, a woman named Maya Torres was working double shifts at a diner, barely making ends meet. Today, she's the Chief Social Impact Officer of Blackwood Technologies and the co-founder of a foundation that's about to change everything for this community. Rosa's voice cracked slightly. "She's also my best friend, and I've never been more proud. Maya, Marcus, come tell us what you built." Maya and Marcus walked to the podium together. Lily was in the front row, 15 now, standing on her own 2 feet, no crutches, no wheelchair. Beside her sat Maya's 2 sons home from their social work jobs in Detroit and Boston. This was family. All of it. Maya gripped the microphone. "This building represents a $50 million investment," she began, "but that's not what makes it special. What makes it special is what's inside." She gestured to the building behind her. "On the first floor, we have a job training center. Free programs for anyone who needs them. Culinary arts, coding, healthcare certification. On the second floor, childcare. Free, high-quality childcare so parents can work or go back to school without worrying. Third floor, healthcare clinic. Free primary care, mental health services, physical therapy. And the fourth floor." Maya's voice caught. "The fourth floor is dedicated to kids with disabilities, adaptive technology, tutoring, sports programs. Everything Lily needed when she was 8 years old, and everything we're going to make sure every kid in this community has access to." The applause was deafening. Marcus stepped forward. 5 years ago, I thought success meant building a billion-dollar company. I thought power meant having the biggest office and the most impressive title." He paused. "I was wrong. Maya taught me that real power is using your resources to lift others up. Real success is measured by how many lives you change, not how much money you make." He looked at Lily. "She taught me how to be a father, how to see my daughter instead of just managing her. And she taught me that business and compassion aren't opposites, they're partners. The most sustainable companies are the ones that invest in communities, not extract from them." Maya took the microphone back. "We're opening 20 more centers like this across the country. Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, Los Angeles. We're partnering with local businesses to create jobs. We're working with schools to build pipelines for kids who've been told they can't succeed. And we're proving that you don't have to choose between profit and purpose." She scanned the crowd and found her target. "Mrs. Henderson, are you out there?" An elderly black woman in the third row raised her hand tentatively. "I'm here, baby." "Mrs. Henderson was my second-grade teacher," Maya said. "She's the one who told me I was smart enough for college, even though my guidance counselor said I should just get a job after high school. She's the one who bought me school supplies when my mom couldn't afford them. She's the one who saw me." Maya's voice broke. "This building is for every Mrs. Henderson who sees potential in kids everyone else has written off. This is for every single mother working 3 jobs, every kid in a wheelchair who's been told they can't, every person who's been invisible their whole life. We see you, and we're here to help." The crowd erupted. People were crying. Maya could see them, could feel the collective emotion rippling through the gathering. When the ceremony ended, people lined up, hundreds of them, to register for programs. Single mothers clutching application forms for the job training center, fathers asking about the childcare hours, teenagers interested in the coding boot camp. Maya moved through the crowd, shaking hands, listening to stories promising to help. An older woman approached, mid-60s, tired eyes, wearing a McDonald's uniform. "Miss Torres, I'm Patricia. I wanted to thank you." "For what, honey?" The woman's eyes filled with tears. "2 years ago, I was sleeping in my car with my daughter. We were at the shelter on 5th Street. You came there one night. Do you remember? You were doing outreach for the foundation." Maya searched her memory. She'd done dozens of shelter visits. "You talked to me for an hour," Patricia continued, "about my daughter's asthma, about how I was trying to find work, about how scared I was. And you didn't just listen. You helped. You got my daughter into the clinic, got me into a job program, helped us find housing." She pulled out her phone, showing Maya a photo of a young girl in a graduation cap. "That's my Jasmine. She graduated high school last week. First person in our family. She's going to community college in the fall on a scholarship you helped her apply for." Maya's throat closed up. "Oh my God. You saved our lives," Patricia said simply. "And I just wanted you to know. People like you don't understand how much you matter, how much one person caring can change everything." Maya hugged her tightly, unable to speak. After the crowd dispersed, Maya found herself sitting on the front steps of the center with Marcus, Lily, Rosa, and her sons. The sun was setting, painting the Chicago sky in shades of orange and pink. "Remember that night?" Lily said suddenly. "At the diner. Every day," Maya said. "I was so scared," Lily admitted. "I thought no one cared. I thought I was just in the way. And then you came outside, and you didn't even know me, but you cared anyway." "You deserve to be cared for," Maya said. "Everyone does." Marcus cleared his throat. "I've been thinking about something. The foundation is doing incredible work, but there's more we could do. More we should do." "What are you thinking?" Maya asked. "A scholarship fund, full rides for kids with disabilities who want to go to college, and a mentorship program connecting them with professionals in their fields. Let's call it the Emily Blackwood Memorial Scholarship." Marcus looked at Lily. "Your mom would want that. She'd want kids to have every chance you have." Lily's eyes welled up. "Yeah, she would." "How much are we talking?" Rosa asked, ever practical. Marcus smiled. "How about we start with 20 million and see where it goes?" Maya laughed because of course he said it like it was nothing like $20 million was pocket change. But she'd learned that for Marcus, it wasn't about the money. It never had been. It was about the impact. "Let's do it," Maya said. That evening, Maya drove back to her old neighborhood alone. She pulled up outside Rosie's diner, which she'd bought 3 years ago, and kept running exactly as it had been, preserving a piece of history. She went inside, sat in the same booth where Lily had eaten her grilled cheese. The new night manager, a young woman named Carmen, who Maya was mentoring, came over with coffee. "Rough day, boss." "Good day," Maya said. "Really good day. Just needed a minute to remember where it all started." She pulled out her phone and looked at the photo she'd taken that afternoon, the mural on the building, the crowd of people, the hope in their faces. Then she scrolled back further to the photo Lily had sent her 3 years ago, the little girl in her graduation cap grinning at the camera. And further still, though she didn't have a photo of it, she could see it perfectly in her mind, a scared child in a wheelchair, a rainy night, a choice to help. That's what it came down to, Maya thought. Not the money or the titles or the recognition, just the choice. The choice to see someone, to care, to act. Her phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. "Lily wants to know if you're coming to family dinner Sunday. Fair warning, I'm attempting lasagna." Maya smiled and typed back, "I'll bring dessert and a fire extinguisher just in case." 3 dots appeared. Then, "Smart woman. See you then." Maya finished her coffee, left a generous tip for Carmen, and walked out into the Chicago night. The rain had started again, gentle this time, not the punishing downpour of that first night. She tilted her face up to it, letting the drops cool her skin. Somewhere in this city, there was another Maya, another person working too hard for too little, another person who felt invisible, forgotten, left behind. But maybe tomorrow someone would see them. Maybe someone would stop. Maybe someone would choose kindness. And maybe, just maybe, that one choice would spiral outward, changing lives in ways no one could predict. Because that's what kindness did. It multiplied. It compounded. It invested itself in the world and paid dividends that lasted generations. Maya Torres had learned that lesson in a diner on a rainy night, and she was going to spend the rest of her life teaching it to everyone she met. That was the legacy that mattered. That was the only investment that truly paid off. Everything else was just noise. Maya climbed into her car and drove home through the rain, already thinking about tomorrow's work, already planning the next center, the next program, the next life she could change. Because kindness was never finished. It was just beginning, and Maya Torres was just getting started.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.